And I am here. I don't know how, but I am here. I'm going to take these off. I'm a little raggedy, but I'm here. Yeah, I caught something. I knew I was catching something Thursday night when I was working. That's why I wasn't here Thursday night, because I was trying to get stuff done. Hello, Vixen. How are you, dear? Now, those things were thawed, but I figured they'd be okay, but I wasn't sure. They are in the refrigerator. Nobody's eaten them yet. So just let me know. They look pretty tasty. I'm surprised somebody hasn't tried to tap into them yet. I am breathing hard, folks, so bear with me. We'll probably do one video, and I'll hang out a little bit, and I got it set, so I take my next dose between 1:30 and 2, and then take my antibiotic when I get up in the morning. So, yeah, I got a good one. I figured it was coming. But I hope everybody's having a good weekend and having fun, enjoying the first real weekend of the new year. And the bacon, I wish I could eat bacon right now. Nothing has any flavor. I tried to eat earlier and just couldn't do it. Well, I ate most of it because I knew I needed to eat. Not as bad as Gemma was when she was sick a couple of Fridays ago, but I am having some struggles, so bear with me. And like I said, we're going to do Almost Vanished 2. We did one not too long ago, kind of in celebration of our book being released. We'll do that one. Then we'll chat for a little bit afterwards, and I'll go on my merry way. As people come in, I will let everybody know that spooky time is changing to Wednesday nights now. I just figured it'd be nicer. And I'll be here at 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights. That gives me a little more time to make dinner and kind of relax a little bit before stream. But yeah. But I do hope everybody's having a good weekend. Kind of bouncing around right now. Black Dragon, Simplify. Thank you, sir. How are you? Appreciate the bacon. Just, I don't know if I can taste it, but I'll eat it. I hope you are well too, sir. A little sweaty, a little hot. 1 second. Now, I will be doing this a lot. Hello, Roger. How are you? I could be better. Oh, I get scratchy throat. 1 second. So sorry about that, folks. Woo! I am good, Roger. How are you? I could be better, like I said, but I'm good. I mean, what do you expect? Sick. Latra, thank you, Latra, for your donation. Appreciate it, man. I meant to thank you Friday night, and I didn't get a chance. Sorry again, folks. So basically what's going to happen tonight is I'll start the video here and upload video here in a little bit, as soon as some people come in. And I'll just let you guys talk. I'll just kind of sit back and moderate, kind of watch my hacking. But yeah, I'll probably start sweating on you guys. I'm about due, like I said, I'm due for my next dose about 1:30, 2 o'clock. But I didn't want to pass tonight up. Sorry again, I got scratchy throat. So sorry about that, folks. Not very professional. Probably shouldn't have done this tonight, but I missed you guys Thursday, and I wanted to be here. Hold on 1 sec. Okay. There we go. Thank you, Dragon. I was doing real good. I took medicine. I was feeling it when I woke up Friday morning. And I knew I'd been fighting something. And Friday was kind of And I thought I'd better take something. So I took something before about an hour before stream Friday night. See, as soon as I get to talking. This is so unprofessional. But it didn't go too bad last night. I felt pretty good when I got off. And then I woke up about 6 o'clock this morning. Wow. It's been off and on all day. And then I tried to go to the store, and that was a nightmare. 1 second. One more time here. Hopefully it gets out of me so we can get on with this. Thank you for being patient with me. Okie dokies. Woo, bacon does sound good. I knew as soon as I'd start talking. Give a drink here. Been trying to keep down with the liquids. And hi, Rainwater. I hope you're well. Happy New Year to you, dear, or whoever you are. Damn it. Sorry, folks. I'm so sorry about this, folks. We have to, sorry that we can catch up here. My video, my upload. Yeah, I have been. I've been drinking. Hold on. Let me, I've been drinking a lot of water. So hopefully that will help. Let me, suck on something that might help too. That's not at all. Good old Vixen sent me something really nice, and that was nice of her. She sent me a whole bunch of goodies. Maybe this will help coat my throat a little bit. The cough drops weren't working. But thank you so much, Rainwater, for coming in. Do appreciate it. You're always so sweet, at least coming in and say hi. Yeah, I'll probably start not a bad idea. I knew as soon as I start talking, it was it's been one of those days. Like I said, I went to go to the store. The place was packed. We're getting a snowstorm. That's why I put the picture up. We're supposed to get it tomorrow night. My daughter, Ashley, baby dragon, it lives out in Kansas. She said her driveway was already covered in ice. They're under blizzard warnings right now. But it's supposed to get pretty wicked. So, folks, any of you in the Midwest and mid of the East Coast here, be prepared, especially in the ice areas. Be prepared. Be ready for anything. People down south, they're supposed to get pretty good storms the next couple of days too. So my wishes to all of you folks and us. We may get 6. They said maybe 6 to 9 here. But who knows? But it keeps getting bigger, which is interesting. So we'll have to see. Oh, is it there? You're swapping a radiator? Oh, fun. Oh, cool. 12 there. Dang it. I don't want to keep going on mute. But have to. It's like one side. Oh, that's awful. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I'm going to start a video. I'll start the upload here in a little bit. Let some people crawl in here. We got 5. and you guys can sit back and talk, and I'll just kind of moderate. Yeah, Vixen sent us a pie, a strawberry Reuben pie. Poor thing, didn't make it here. 3 Chinese radiators in 3 years. Wow. I just didn't want to miss tonight. I missed Thursday night. I feel bad. You know, I love being with you guys. I figured I'd be up anyways. I could at least show the video, you know, do the replay. To me, that's what it's about, you know, promoting Gemma. And that's what I'm here for. And like I said, so the folks coming and going, Spooky Time with me is switching to Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock, starting this Wednesday. Hopefully I feel better. I should. I usually get over this pretty quick. I've been taking Thermoflu on top of an antibiotic, so hopefully by tomorrow night, I should feel a lot better. Yeah, the pie didn't make it. But I'm going to give it to the deer. Let them eat it. Get all sugared out. And you said the scooter pie should be good. I didn't see if you said anything or not. Like I said, they didn't look bad. They just were thawed. The post office, man. My dad was so bummed. I said, "Don't worry about it, bud." But he loved all the nuts and the little treats you sent with us. And I'm sucking on one of the little. I mean, she did me right, man. If you saw my post on Facebook, man, she did us up. Bless her heart. Thank you so much, Vixen. I cannot thank you enough, honey. Even though the pie didn't make it, it was just such a sweet gesture. That was so nice of you, hon. And it did make his day. He wants to send you something, so he may send you a painting. So I may be asking for your address soon. You know, he paints. So he wants to send you one of his paintings because he thought that was just the nicest thing ever. Yeah, well, I thought about the same thing. It was the post office, man. They totally screwed that up, man. If they would have sent it like she's supposed to, it'd have been here. I see I'm jerking around again. I hate when my internet does that. But yeah, it was definitely the post office fault. That's the thing. The minute he saw that, his eyes and his mouth watered. It's like I haven't seen that old man glimmer like he did that day. And I just said, "Oh, Pop, you can't eat it though." And he was like, "Oh." I said, "It'll be okay." He took a bag of those nuts, sat down, and chowed. She did us right, man. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. The gesture was just unreal, honey. And the way I feel right now, it was super nice of you. But yeah, we'll start that video here in a little bit so I can kind of pop out here real quick and take care of my nose. I can't take anything in for another hour. I was thinking, yeah, black ice, dry ice is the way to go if you can get it. You can get this packing stuff too. I know how that is. My father had sent me a care package when I was in the military. Half the food had started. Yeah. And the post office. I've had so many trouble with the post office. And it's sad because, you know, I have half a family that worked for the post office. My brother worked for the post office, one of my brothers. His wife was a postmaster. So yeah, I give him a lot of staff. My ex-wife, half her family worked in the post office, so I always gave him crap. 1 second again, God dang it. Be right back, gonna blow my nose. That might help. Man, I should have thought about this, but I didn't want to miss this. But yeah, I'll tell you, and sending stuff when you're in the military, man. My dad told me nightmares about stuff getting shipped to him in the military. If you use styrofoam, blue eyeshare pouches. The next one is going priority. Okay. I usually go UPS. I've never had a problem with them. One time. But I got it back, which was weird. And then I was able to resend it. Sadly, you can't count on the post office to deliver things on time. You know, post office is not what it used to be. I mean, I used to, my family and her family used to be proud to work for the post office. I don't know. It's so messed up anymore. I had a friend who worked for the post office. He didn't last long. He was a mail carrier, drove a truck, he worked on campus, on OSU campus, delivered mail there, was zooming through the alleyways and T-boned somebody and lost his job that day. It burns my bum. Yeah, it does. But I heard that was probably possible, Audra, that they may go private. We'll have to see. The government makes too much money off of post office. And I believe they raised stamps again. You got to pay attention to that, too. Let me get me set up here. She does have a video coming out Monday. It's stuff to do with her book that's coming out. She did a little short, so go check out her shorts. She did a little preview short. So go check that out and give it a like. Leave a comment on all of her shorts. So 11 o'clock, Monday afternoon at 11 a.m. And then, like I said, I'll be here Wednesday night at 9 for a spooky time. And that will be the new time and forever time for it. It's just too hard to do late nights on the weekdays. So 9 o'clock, I figure it's a cool time. That way we get done 11, 12. I can still get to bed at a decent time. Well, what I would call bed. But let me get us set up here. So at 12:24, I'm going to set us up and get it ready to rock and roll here. Okay. Now this one is almost vanished too. It's about kids. So it should be a good one. Let me get it up here. There we go. Get me moved down at the bottom here. And I'll go full screen for her. Let me go full screen. There we go. Get this out of the way. I did too soon. There we go. And we'll get this started here soon. She looks as pretty as ever, even but 3 years ago. This video is 3 years old, I believe. I do try to get her shorts. Yeah, I try to get them all. I usually hit them all. Sometimes I try with the Oracle ones. I used to leave my thoughts on them. But lately, with the way I've been feeling, I haven't had it in me. So I just make funny little comments like wandering around and stuff. Eating your bacon that you leave behind, Black Dragon. Yeah, I would think too, Vixen, if they go private, it'd be even more. Like I said, I've never had a problem with UPS. 1 second again. Sending UPS. Usually if I send Gemma something UPS, it's there in 3 days. Guaranteed. And that's regular. These little maple drops that you sent are awesome. 1 second again. Once it's now dissolving, it's starting to actually coat my throat, but let me cough again. But like I said, I'm going to let you guys talk. I might stick my nose in chat once in a while. I'll let you guys enjoy yourselves. And I'll start the video here. If there's any problems, please let me know. The sound's good, so we shouldn't have a problem with sound. But if there's a problem with sound, just let me know. Let's get it rocking.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to have part 2 of my Almost Vanished series. And this one is about specifically kids who vanished seemingly without a trace and into thin air and suddenly appeared back either days, months, weeks, maybe even years later with either no memory or a crazy story to tell. So I hope you guys enjoyed the last video. It seemed to do really well. You guys love when I do series. Everything I do is pretty much a series, and I haven't touched this one in a while. I also have one on adults as well. Today, though, we're focusing on the kids. So let's just get started. So this seeming to vanish into thin air and without a trace, involuntarily, only to return days, hours, weeks, or even months later with bizarre stories to tell. This is a phenomenon that has been happening basically for as long as things like this have been able to be documented, and actually much further before that, since the beginning of time maybe. I like to call this phenomenon almost vanish, and that's pretty much exactly what happens. Many times when the person's missing for so long, their loved ones kind of give up hope, or even in some cases, the person will come back and find they've been declared legally dead. I mean, that's how long some of these people go missing for. I think it would be prudent of us to take a closer look into these almost vanishings and see if we can find some kind of connection and maybe end up with at least a theory on what exactly is going on here. Because as of right now, like, I have no idea. And I know you guys are right with me on there because we've discussed it at length in the comments, through emails, those of you that communicate with me through Facebook. I mean, we have talked about it and we're still trying to figure it out, right? The paranormal world is still trying to figure everything like this out. The problem is there's no commonality except the almost vanishing. As you will see, if you watch the almost vanished video I did a couple of months ago, I did one on kids and also one on adults. And you'll see that this spans across generations and cultures all around the world. And it doesn't discriminate at all as to who it chooses, whatever the it is in any of these specific situations. With all that being said, though, let's jump right in. The first encounter is pretty vague on details, but I added it because not everyone is as comfortable as someone like me and most of you are in coming forward with their experiences, their abductions, right? These are actually abductions if you think about it. And I think everyone has the right to be heard, considered, and at least taken seriously until there's an actual reason to dismiss or not believe the individual. That's why I tell you guys, send me your stories. I'll tell them for you. And the community is very respectful, at least my community, my subscribers, my friends, my family. So a lot of people don't mind sending the experiences to me or Steve because they trust us with that. And a lot of people haven't even told their parents, their significant other, right? So these are really personal encounters. So this person did not want to give a lot of details, and maybe they were very scared. I think it's a culture thing in this case, just because where it's based on, and that's not a judgment, that's just my opinion. This account takes place in the Middle East, and that's pretty much all we know, as the person doesn't use any real names and also has fictitious names for where the events are occurring as well. Like I said, guys, let's at least give this person a chance here. So he says it happened in a country he's calling Topia, just to protect the integrity of his hometown, as many people there don't believe in such things and would be horrified if they heard something like this was happening. most likely. Who knows the danger this person could be putting themselves in just for daring to mention anything like this, especially publicly, in an online community-based forum for the entire world possibly to see. So he's in Topia, which is a village that's so small. It's kind of reminded me of what we in the United States would call small town USA. Do you know what I mean? It's where everyone knows not only everyone else, but their business as well. There was a boy who I'm going to call Mark just for the purpose of the story. And Mark was around the age of 12 when this happened and was from a typical middle-class family, the same as every other boy his age and family in that small village that he lived in. Mark's father worked as a nurse and his mother stayed home and cared for the home and the children, a housewife, right? The thing is, though, Mark was actually a genius, a child prodigy, and wasn't really anything at all like the other kids in his village. He was especially smart in science and math, and it made the teachers a bit uncomfortable because nobody could understand where a boy like Mark, who came from a very well-liked but also a very average type family, how could he be on the top of his class every single year and do so well in all of his subjects, especially math and science, as I said? And for me, those are the hardest, like English, spelling, grammar, language arts, all that kind of stuff. Though that's my jam. Like, I'm really bad at math, but they say it's one or the other, you know? He excelled in these two in math and science beyond description, especially well. The village is so small that the school bus didn't go to anyone's house to pick them up, but had certain pickup points, if you will, like all around the village. It was set up so that each of the kids would have to walk no more than 5 or 6 minutes to get to the nearest pickup point from their homes to catch the bus to school. One day, however, Mark never made it home from school. Of course, his parents were scared and worried beyond belief and decided to call on the bus driver to find out where Mark had gotten off the bus. Had he accidentally gotten off somewhere else? Why would the bus driver allow this? I'm sure all these things were running through their heads, right? Remember, it shouldn't have taken him more than 5 or 6 minutes to walk from the closest pickup point to his house. Also, there would have been a group of kids with him who all met every school day, every single day at the same exact spot to not only catch the bus, but also to get off at the same spot as well. This is when they take their short walk home together, I guess each going their separate way when they had to. After all, as we all used to think we knew, there's safety in numbers, right? Remember the security of thinking that statement was true? We know better now, though, don't we? Okay, anyway, the bus driver explained that Mark had gotten off of the bus at the exact same spot he did and had for the past 8 years he had been going to school. There was nothing strange, odd, or off about him or his appearance or behavior, and the day was just like any other, according to this bus driver. The authorities in the town were alerted and thus began the search for young Mark of Topia. The authorities concluded that Mark had to have gone missing in the short distance from where the bus stopped to his house. Makes sense, right? He must have had to separate from the group of other children somehow and walk alone, but how long would that have really been for? Remember, at the risk of sounding repetitive, the 5 to 6 minute timeline we're working with here, so it must have been during the 2 to 3 minutes he was alone and poof, he's just gone, right? Many search parties started looking for him, but with no luck. There was absolutely no trace of Mark at all. It was like he had gotten off the bus and disappeared into thin air. The person goes on to explain that this was a country in the Middle East and it happened in the 1980s. So when the police gave up their search for Mark after only 2 weeks, no one was surprised and his parents were left heartbroken and the small village was left scared. What had happened to Mark and could it happen again, but this time to their own children? 3 weeks after Mark had gone missing, though, he reappeared again and went home. He arrived at his house at the exact same time he always would after getting dropped off by the school bus and walking home. He was wearing the same exact clothes he had been wearing the day he vanished. And here's the thing, though. When Mark arrived and walked into his house, his family's reaction startled and concerned him. He had no clue what was going on. Why were they crying hysterically and hugging him as though they hadn't seen him in a while? It was like he thought they hadn't seen him in weeks or something, when in fact, according to Mark and what he remembers, he had just seen them that morning when leaving for school to catch the bus. After his parents explained to him how long he had been missing and everything that had happened and what they had gone through in the past 3 weeks, he was completely dumbfounded. It was not possible, impossible that this happened. What happened to Mark remains a mystery to this day. He was never the same again, though, and he ended up being below average in his intelligence. He kind of lost his genius, if you will. It was almost like something or someone had taken him and either stole his genius, stole his intelligence, right? Or was he just so traumatized in his subconscious for all the memories he blocked out The cause is unknown, but Mark, I'm sorry to say, was never the same again. He went on to work in an average job after his grades slipped significantly and actually tremendously. They got pretty low. Something, in my opinion, stole his intelligence. Is this what's going on in the woods? You guys know everything I do leads me back to the missing in the woods. So here's the thing. Can we verify this story or prove it's real? No, we can't. But that's the thing when reporting on things like this. You have to go by what you personally believe. I say it in almost every single video, but I'm 100% of the opinion that our experiences shape our ideas and our beliefs. I believe this story, and I believe it's very possible Mark was abducted by aliens. Don't worry, though, because you know I'm not going to say something like that and just leave you guys hanging. I'm also working on a series about UFOs and specifically abduction encounters, signs of abductions, the different types of alien races, and the ones most likely to abduct us and why, etc., etc. Rabbit hole, rabbit hole, rabbit hole, rabbit hole. So stay tuned, guys. If you want more on aliens, check out either my video on the Travis Walton abduction or my alien hybrid video, The Truth About Extraterrestrial Alien Hybrids. I was so interested in that. I still am. Can't wait to get part 2 out. That's coming in the coming week or two. Both of those will be linked in the description box below this video, so be sure to check it out. In 1984, in the northern Carpathian Mountains in the country of Romania, there was a 4-year-old boy who disappeared under strange circumstances, only to come back and as an adult tell his story on a popular forum for things just like what happened to him. Here's his story. He was visiting a mountain village and resort area called Vatra Dorne, and I know that I'm not pronouncing that right. Please forgive me. I mean no offense. He was with his grandparents, and that particular day was great weather, so he and his grandparents decided to take a walk and explore the village. He explains that to him the day felt almost perfect with birds chirping and the fresh air just had a beautiful spring smell to it. However, when his grandparents wanted to go into one of the local shops, he was insistent he did not want to go with them. He says he has no idea why, still to this day, he was so adamant about not stepping foot inside this particular store, as it was just like every other one in the area. It was like just a regular looking shop. There was nothing special or scary about it. As his grandparents tried to literally drag him kicking and screaming into this store, he decided, with all the wisdom a 4-year-old could possibly muster, to pretend he was a dog and reason to them that dogs aren't allowed inside the stores and therefore he could not go in. He clung as hard as he could to a nearby light pole and actually got down on all fours with his tongue hanging out and panting, perhaps barking too, just to reinstitute the fact in his grandparents' heads that he was, in fact, an actual dog, that they would be in big trouble should they drag him along inside the store. This was a boy who was experiencing actual terror at the thought of this particular and seemingly very normal and regular store. His grandmother, now extremely frustrated, angry, and as the mother of a 3-year-old boy myself, she was most likely extremely irritated. I get it, Grandma. I get it. She stopped trying to drag him and yelled, "Fine, dogs stay where you leave them then." And let the little boy stay where he was, on all fours and clinging to the nearby light pole, pretending to be a dog. As his grandparents walked into the store, the boy, happy to have finally gotten his own way, decided he liked to be a dog and continued on all fours, panting, barking, and rubbing his ears with his pretend paw. He was acting as if he were tied to that pole, right? I can picture this in my head, like my son doing something like this. The man says, quote, "And suddenly I focused into consciousness. I don't know how else to describe a slowly growing sense of recognition, waking up or wiping off dirty glasses and suddenly seeing properly. I hope that makes sense," end quote. Well, just an aside, it definitely makes sense to me, and I'm sure most of you here who have been with me for a while, or even if this is the first video you clicked on, I think most of us have had an experience just like this at least once, and most likely many more times than that in your lifetime. I know it happens to me all the time, and I actually talk about it and discuss it often with you guys, whether it's in my videos, the live streams, or one-on-one. So anyways, after somehow gaining this mysterious clarity, he suddenly got up and started walking the right way towards something. That's what he says, towards something. He says he walked, and before he even knew what was happening, the shop was about 500 meters, which is 50,000 feet behind him. He was in some sort of daze, but not. Like he was there, but not there. I don't know how to explain it, and neither did he. It's so hard to explain, but I hope you all are following me here. He says he suddenly realized there were no people at all anywhere. Just before, when he was playing at being a puppy, there were tons of people and crowds all around. It's a tourist spot after all, and a resort town. People everywhere were shopping and seeing the sights. But now, all of a sudden, there was nothing and no one. Not even that spring-scented wind. It wasn't even blowing anymore. He says, quote, "I walked in absolute silence. I suspected that all movement around me had stopped. My mind was working miraculously, effortlessly, and crystal clear. Even at that age, I marveled at that. Since then, I've never reached that level of clearness and concentrated logic, and that is a remarkable thing." End quote. So while he's walking in this eerie silence, which, by the way, we talk about all the time on this channel, and also Steve and I discuss it a lot as well, right? This happens so much now, especially with things in the woods, such as my Glimmerman encounter and several other encounter stories, which you guys have so generously given to me and or us through email. He says he then looked at his feet as he was walking, and he noticed that he was producing somehow, quote, 6 long shadows in every direction. I was the center of this shadow star, end quote. He started to ask himself where all of this light could possibly be coming from. I mean, to produce 6 shadows. He says there was no sun, moon, or stars, no light whatsoever. Yet here he was throwing out shadows. It was strangely dim, and there wasn't a single light source to be seen. What in the world was going on here? Even at 4 years old, I'm pretty sure you know that you don't produce more than 1 shadow. When reminiscing about this day, he says he refers to it as, quote, behind the curtain or into the hallway of reality, end of quote. He claims that somehow he came into focus and finally started to realize something strange was going on. He was still holding the pole when he came to again. I say come to only for lack of a better word to explain how he was coming out of this strange and unusual trance he was in. He says he felt dazed, and then suddenly his grandfather had him by the shoulders. His grandparents were furious and looked scared, both of them screaming and asking him where he had been and where he had wandered off to. He was incredibly confused. Remember, this is only a toddler of 4 tiny years. He hadn't gone anywhere, really, except for what he now considered to be a trip in his head that lasted about 5 minutes. It seems, though, that he was completely wrong as he came to realize his grandparents had been frantically searching for him for Lord knows how long. People started gathering around, at least 10 of them, as he insisted he had stayed at the pole pretending to be a doggy. The people around were conversing with the grandmother in hushed tones as he heard them all insisting he hadn't been there just a minute ago. And by the way, he is telling this story, although he doesn't state it definitely, he hadn't been there for quite some time. He had been gone for more than 5 minutes that he thought he had been gone for. He thought at this point he had taken a trip in his head. He was extremely sick with symptoms we would know as food poisoning for almost an entire week after this encounter too. Everyone did in fact chalk it up to something he must have eaten. He found it strange his grandparents waited months before they even told his parents what had happened, that they had somehow lost track of him and he refused, in the way they saw it, to tell them where he really was. They thought he just wandered off and just didn't want to tell them, like he was just being difficult. He didn't know where he was. He thought he was in his head. He was never able to make it back to that weird place, and to this day has no idea what in the world happened to him, where he had gone, or why. That's really scary, guys. Think about that. In my opinion, this young man was almost abducted, especially when considering his age. He was a toddler, and as many of you know, I have had my own experience with something we call Glimmerman, trying to lure my own toddler son into some woods by my house. How did whatever it was cause the mirage? Was he brought into an alternate dimension? Did the grandfather grabbing and shaking him cause the abduction process to be disrupted? Or were the things he was seeing and feeling just planted there while something more terrible and possibly horrific went on? I guess we'll never know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, all right? Let's discuss. In the summer of 2013, a 2-year-old girl from Newaygo County, Michigan, United States, disappeared from right in front of her family home. Her name was Amber Rose Smith. Her father said he had been watching her play with the family's dogs and had to go to the bathroom. He went inside for just a minute, for just as long as it takes a man to pee, I suppose, which I'm not very sure, but I assume doesn't take very long at all. When he came back out, both Amber and the dogs were missing. She wasn't responding to her name being called, and he couldn't find her anywhere. After about 10 minutes, the dogs came walking back up to him, but they were alone, and little Amber was nowhere to be found. Hundreds of volunteers and people from the community, the proper authorities, and rescue workers all searched for her for hours, but never were able to find even a trace of her. The next day, however, about 2 miles away from her family home where she was last seen, she was found. She was literally standing in the middle of a road that had been walked and searched more than just a few times. She was dazed and unblinking. She seemed to be in a state of absolute shock and terror and horror and was completely disoriented and disheveled. She was only 2, remember, and I'm sure her vocabulary was quite limited, but it was obvious that even if she were able to say what had happened, she actually probably wouldn't have been able to due to her shocked and disoriented state. Extremely low temperatures had come through the area overnight that night that she went missing. So how did she manage to survive this? Not to mention, it said that in order to get to where she was found, she would have had to get through some very thick vegetation and wilderness. Guys, this is scary to me, and the main reason is because of how common this has become. It never ceases to amaze me, though, how often nowadays a toddler or very young child, sometimes ones who can barely even walk on their own, get miles away from where they were last seen and somehow just survive. I'm going to be covering something similar in a future episode of this Almost Vanished Kids series, so stay tuned for that as well. Last time I did kids coming back, almost vanished with crazy stories. This time, none of them have any memory, so we're like going to speculate, which I really love doing. I love hearing your guys' opinions. You go back and forth like, no, it can't be that. That's why I did this video, so we can speculate, we can talk, we can fill in the deets, you know? Anyways, the sheriff said, quote, "It's hard to imagine how a 2.5-year-old could survive that distance through the woods with that kind of temperature. There are some who aren't convinced she walked that entire distance. Maybe she was dropped off. Those are the things we may have to determine in the future," end quote. Guys, I hate to liken everything to UFOs and extraterrestrials, abduction, and hybrid programs. However, the loss of space and time and being completely invisible to those in the world around you is just so baffling and hard to wrap my head around. I cannot, for the life of me, think of anything more reasonable than those things I just mentioned. If you can, again, please be sure and let me know. I'm dying to know your guys' take on this, seriously, because it's so strange. There are so many stories and encounters just like this that I'm going to cover, and after all, you guys know I can never stop going down rabbit holes or researching a particular subject because I want to know everything. Everything. It's crazy as I'm sitting here typing this. It's Friday night at 8:56 p.m. Eastern time in the Eastern United States where I live, and I just finished the Campfire Stories live stream with Steve and a lot of you all. As I sit here, there's a long half shadow person just sitting on my bed. It has the top features of a regular shadow person, but its bottom looks like that of like the bottom of a genie just coming out of the lamp, like those little waves. How or why am I not frightened? Oh, believe me, I definitely am. However, I would rather just sit here and keep on typing, pretending that I don't see it. It's hovering to the point where it's almost touching my bed, but not quite, and staring at me. I can not only see it in my peripheral vision, but I can feel it staring at me as well, trying to read my emotions and feed off of my fear. I'm wrapping this up and going to walk right past it and out of my room, but it sucks I got to sleep in that bed tonight. If I tried to take a picture, it would know I see it and possibly attack. I mean, remember what I said in the first video about lurkers possibly turning into aggressors? Anyways, I just thought I would share that with you all. Not while I'm filming. This was while I was typing on Friday night. I'm filming on Sunday, as I always do. That's all I have for you today, guys, on kids who almost vanished, and I guess the shadow person on my bed. I know these ones don't have like explanations into where they went like the last one, but that's just the point, though. You know, I noticed a trend so far as well. So tell me if you see it from the last video. These little ones who aren't able to tell what had happened seem to disappear without a trace and go into some kind of time warp, while the older kids seem to be able to remember everything. And usually, not always, but usually, they have good memories, or at least memories of peaceful feelings. And then the adults just have the most variety to their encounters. When I did the adults, it was like even more insane than the kids because they have better vocabulary. They're better able to express themselves. Speaking of encounters, please send yours. Any encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal, extraterrestrial, please send to GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com, and I'll put you in a future video of listener encounters. Okay, guys? Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you love hanging out with me, if you just enjoyed spending this time with me. I know I always do. Please subscribe if you aren't already, and spread the love by sharing. Guys, do me a huge favor and check out the description box for some links. Justice for Caleb Smith, the 2-hour live stream that Steve and I did on missing persons and mysteries with Caleb's mother, April Arrington. No mother should have to investigate the death of her child. It's ridiculous. We're trying to get some justice.
Okay, here we go. Let me remove this. Okay, there we go. Hello, Edna. How are you, dear? You come in. I hope you were watching because I'm sick. I don't know how much longer I'll be here. I'm going to hang out until I have to take my next dose. I've been on antibiotics since Friday night. Yeah, I was sick yesterday, Friday during, but I was smart enough to take something, and I wasn't too bad last night. But I woke up this morning, woo, it slapped my butt. Been fighting it all day. So I'm kind of breathing hard. I haven't had a cigarette all day, so don't worry. But I am having a huffer puffer, blowing my nose like crazy, having a hard time talking. But we'll probably hang out until the time we got here, folks. That's 12. 10 till 1. I'll probably try to stay until 1:30. That's when I'm supposed to take my next dose. So hopefully I can make it until then. I can always show another video. I mean, there's plenty of her gone videos. Yeah, so I never had COVID. All that time, everybody else caught it. Never caught it. I did do tests. It's not what I have. I think I have a good flu. When me and Dad Pop, we were fighting head colds for the last couple of weeks. He had it really bad for a while there. Now he's just achy. Man, like I said, didn't feel too bad last night, Friday night, for oracles. Smart enough to take something before the stream, about an hour before the stream, felt pretty good. And even Gemma was like, "You sure you want to do this?" Like, yeah, I'm good. And because, I thought I had walking pneumonia, because I have been known to have walking pneumonia for a month before I realized that's what I had. So, but it's not what it is. Went to bed. Well, tried to go to bed. Woke up about 6 o'clock this morning, and it's been a nightmare since. Thank God they started me on an antibiotic. So, yeah, I know you do, and that sucks. That's kind of, I think, part of my problem too, Edna. Whatever it is, it's in my chest. But, man, this afternoon, I went to try to go to the store and got sick. And that place was packed because everybody freaking out over this winter storm we're supposed to get. So the store was crazy. Took me 10 minutes to find a parking spot. Then when I found a parking spot, I get out of the car, got sick. Got back in the car, cried for 10 minutes because nothing's getting done. Came home, ordered these guys food. I nitpicked. I've been taking my medicine, but I didn't want to miss tonight because I missed Thursday night. I don't count, like I said, I don't count Friday nights with Gemma. So I want to at least be here and show a couple of videos. I may show another one. And like I said, let you guys talk. And I just sit back and be a moderator. Let me see if I can find something good. I've been trying to do stuff that, her book came out. And so, Edna, I'm doing Spooky Time. If you saw my post on Facebook, I'm moving Spooky Time at 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights so everybody can have fun. Yeah, it does, man. I'm telling you, I was hurting. When I came back from the store, I was like debating if I was going to do this. And I'm like, I mean, you guys make me happy. So, and I feel good. Now it's just scratchiness. Every time I try to talk, I get all scratchy. And the snot, pardon the gross. But yeah, it's just like, I have never been as full as, it's not like I've been this time around. It is insane. But I mean, like I said, I'll take my next dose about 1:30. I've been doing thermoflu on top of the antibiotic. Hopefully, I feel pale. Hopefully by Monday afternoon, Tuesday, between the antibiotic, I should start to feel human again. Yeah. I've been drinking tons of water, cold water at that. Doing my meds. See, that's the thing. I have to, when I take cold and flu meds, I have to watch taking my meds. The only problem is when I get sick, it triggers, it's like a domino effect, and it causes my tremors to be even worse. So it heightens the breathing issues and everything. It just makes all that stuff even worse than there should be. Being sick, well, I enjoy your videos. They're better if you wear tutu. I'll wear a tutu next time. I'm sure one of my grandkids have got one. I'll wear it next time. A dragon in a tutu. They gave me, yeah, that's what they gave me, was these huge amoxicillin, high dose. Usually that knocks it right out of me. Could you see me in a tutu? It'd be hilarious. If they would still do it, I'd just tell them to give me a shot of penicillin. But every time I ask, just give me a shot of penicillin. I'm not allergic to it. They have a cow. I said, come on, just in the old days, you used to give me a shot in the butt with penicillin. I'd be good. I don't know why they don't do that anymore. And when I get to feeling better, I'll go back to doing some castor oil for a while in the morning or before bed. I usually do it before bed. And that will help clean me out too. No such luck. Yeah, that's the thing. I felt pretty good when I went to bed last night, Edna. I really did. I was kind of groggy and kind of irritable. I woke up, like I said, about 6 o'clock this morning. Sicker than a dog. And it was all like mucus and stuff. And I'll tell you what, and it's like those guys knew I was sick because they were doing everything they could to push my buttons, and that wasn't good. So I was, on edge. And finally crashed a little bit and kind of sat in here and tried to get my grip. Went to the store, and that was a nightmare. Came home, and I just kind of been chilling and kind of stay a little bit busy. But yeah, I'd say out of the last couple of days, this has probably been the worst day. Didn't want to miss tonight. I really didn't. I enjoy my time with you guys. But like I said, I'll be here Wednesday night. And I'll be here Monday for her Monday afternoon video at 11. She's going to do some more inserts from her new book. So, and if you haven't seen anything on her shorts, I know, Edna, you're having problems with her shorts, but she did do like a little preview for Monday's video on her shorts. So go check them out. Let me see if I can find another video. And you guys can sit and talk for a while. Until I get ready to take my next dose. Let me see if I can find. I'm trying to keep it to the kind of gone, disappeared stuff. I did the other half of the one that we did not a couple weeks ago. See if I can find a good. Why am I having such an issue here? Oops. I'm turning things I shouldn't be turning here. I didn't think about doing a second one, but why not? It's easy for me because I can just sit back and relax. Let you guys talk it up and enjoy your time with each other. I don't always have to run my mouth. Let's see. Okay. I'm looking here. Be patient with me. Trying to find something that'll be a good one to go with the missing stuff. Here we go. Here's Miss. Oh, I forgot about this one. It's 19 minutes long. Here's Almost Vanished Part 3. We'll do that one. Here, let me get it set up. I forgot about this one. Okay, let me bring me in here. It's 19 minutes long. Be a short little video to take us out with for the night. I appreciate everybody showing up tonight and wishing me well. I just had to be here. I love you guys too much. I had to be here. We're shared, ain't it? Okay. There we go. Make her big. I'm going to go ahead and start. If you have any problems with sound, please let me know. Enjoy your conversation, folks. And enjoy the upload.
What's up, guys? So before we get started, I wanted to just ask
you may
you
have to turn this one up a little
end.
bit.
I have a little bit longer of an outro tonight with some things in the description box I think you're really going to want to check out. Some people in the S.D.N.Y fam in the tribe are doing their own thing on YouTube.
Is everything good? You guys can hear it?
I really want you guys to check it out, support them, promote them, help them grow. So bear with me on the long outro, and please be sure to check out the description box.
Oops, what happened?
Here we are with Almost Finished.
I cut off her head.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we have another video in our Almost Vanished series. I know you guys love this series as much as I do, so let's just jump right in. I've done a couple of videos on this channel previously about people, both kids and adults, who seemingly vanished without a trace, only to turn up again at some random time and in some random place with truly bizarre tales to tell. This time, I decided to cover these almost vanishings in general instead of labeling the video children or adults. I'm always
have a good night, Latchel. Thanks again, bud.
Tales, and recently covered one very popular one in general, which has been given the name Robot Granny or Robot Grandma. If you haven't seen that one yet, maybe go on and check it out after this one. I will try to put a link right up here, somewhere up top there. So anyways, what actually happens to these people? Are they just the imaginings of a child's mind or a traumatized adult who perhaps hit their head or drank some foul water or ate some poisonous berries? I'm sure for the families of the people who thought they were gone forever, but were lucky enough to have them back again, it doesn't really matter. But for me, for us in this community, I had to investigate further. There are some common themes and trends to these stories, especially with the children, but nothing solid or concrete where we can definitively say that one thing or another happens every single time, or even most of the time. Despite not really knowing or even ever really being able to figure things out, like to figure out what really happened to these people, and if the tales they tell of the bizarre things they had gone through, witnessed, and encountered throughout their alleged ordeals, I find their stories truly fascinating and wanted to share just a few here today with you. So here it is, the Almost Vanished. Let's start way back in the year 1868 in central Michigan, the United States. A 3-year-old little girl was at a lumber camp with her father where he worked. According to him, she was literally there one minute and gone the next, quote, as if she had blinked right out of existence, end quote. Sound familiar? Because that's what the parents always say. Her terrified father enlisted the help of 2 hunters he knew from the area to help him search the nearby woods for his lost daughter. They roamed the dense forested and wood areas nearby the lumber camp, calling for the girl and repeatedly screaming her name, but it was soon well into the night and they hadn't gotten a single response, and they found no evidence at all of not only where she had gone, but if she had ever even really been there at all. Finally, it was too dark to search for the little girl anymore, and the search had to be called off until dawn the following morning. The next day, more hunters joined the father in his now completely panicked and frantic search for his little girl. As they trudged through this harsh and dense forest, they claimed to have heard the little girl shouting from somewhere nearby. She was responding to hearing her name being shouted. They say that they followed the sound of the little girl's shouts and were facing some really rough and treacherous terrain as they followed the sound of her voice. They reported later that even though they could hear the little girl and figured she would be close enough if she was hearing them shouting for her and they were hearing her, it seemed her yells back to them were much further away. It was almost as though she were yelling through some kind of blanket or perhaps a veil of some sort and wasn't really fully there in the forest with them. This is also an extremely common theme throughout these almost vanished stories. They followed the sound of her shouts to a nearby river and literally had to use knives and weapons to fight their way through the brush and vegetation just to get to her. Suddenly, they heard a large splash, and when they turned to see what could have made such a sound, they saw an enormous black shape, which they took to be a bear, entering the water and seemingly trying to escape to the other side of the woods to get away from them, to flee. This animal moved very swiftly and efficiently and disappeared into the woods before they could even register what was actually going on. What were they seeing? This is when they noticed the little girl. She was standing right there, very still, atop a nearby log, and she was missing most of her clothing, including her shoes. Sound familiar? The little girl was finally rescued, and I can't even imagine the relief that washed over her parents and the hunters involved in the search who eventually found her. However, when asked what had happened to her, she claimed that the large animal the hunters had seen was what she had named, quote, Mr. Wolf, end quote, and that Mr. Wolf had been keeping her prisoner there by that log in the middle of the river on the outskirts of that rugged and impossibly rough terrain. She never would have gotten through that by herself, let alone with no scratches or anything on her. I want you guys to think about this for a minute because it's what struck me first. These grown men who were hunters in 1868 had to use weapons and knives to get through some of the area around where they found her. So how in the world Did she get through it unharmed or even at all? Moving on, she claimed that Mr. Wolf had eaten her hat, taken her shoes, and was adamant that she couldn't and never would be able to leave, despite how much she cried, pleaded, and begged to be able to go home. She was told she could leave, quote, under no circumstances, end of quote. He did, however, provide the little girl with water and berries to eat to keep her fed. It's impossible to tell, especially with so much time passed now here in 2021, what really happened here. These men were hunters and fully knew the difference between a bear and a wolf. However, they went on to state that they didn't actually know for a fact if what they had seen had been a bear, just that's what it looked the most like. And they admitted that maybe their minds were filling in some of the details just to make it make more sense. They were sure of one thing, though. It couldn't have been a wolf. It was unlike anything they had ever seen and far too large, not the right body shape. Does that make sense? So what was this thing that this little frightened girl described as Mr. Wolf? Was it indeed a wolf? Was it a bear? Or was it something else altogether? What did it want? What were its intentions with the little girl, and why had it kept her fed? We will most likely never know the answers to any of these questions, and honestly, there's many more questions than answers in most of these cases. Pretty much all of them. And I personally believe, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but I believe that this was possibly a fae creature who fed her enchanted berries. Not sure though, and I'll go more into that when I do the episode of Missing in the Fae 4 for my channel, which is going to be different than the one on Missing Persons and Mysteries. Anyway, ironically though, this isn't the only story like this out there. There are many tales of young children going missing in the woods and being found somewhere they should never have been able to get to by themselves, and after being found, claiming an animal had abducted them and or cared for them. It happened again in July of 1955 when a 2-year-old little girl named Ida Mae Curtis went missing under eerily similar circumstances. She was in a lumber camp in Kootenai National Forest in Montana. Ida's frantic mother had called the authorities and, in a state of complete panic and terror, told them how she had seen a bear grab up her daughter and carry her into the forest. She said the animal was, quote, cradling the little girl as it ran off and disappeared into the dense woods with her. There was a very large search and rescue effort, especially for the time, and 350 people scoured and searched every single square inch of that forest they possibly could for 2 entire days. This was when Ida was found safe, only about 300 yards from where she had originally gone missing or, quote, been carried off, end quote, in a kind of makeshift and raggedy looking shelter, sort of. She would later go on to tell anyone who would listen how she had been fed and cared for by the large bear who her mother had seen originally carrying her off. Authorities thought that the little girl had just been through some kind of ordeal, and also that the mother had to have been mistaken about seeing the bear abducting her daughter. Ida and her family, however, have always insisted that what Ida said was absolutely 100% true. Let me stop right there for a minute. Even if a giant bear came down out of the woods and snatched up a 2-year-old toddler, bears don't even cradle their own cubs, let alone they're going to cradle a human child. I think a bear would be more likely to rip the child apart very quickly. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it possible a bear actually went out of its way to feed and care for a human child? Could one or would one kidnap a human child and cradle it as though it were an infant human? These cases really creep me out. How would we ever know? And honestly, it's more like, what the hell is going on here with all of these reports of these animals kidnapping and then caring for random children right in front of their parents, too? This phenomenon makes me absolutely terrified to take my son camping or fishing or something. On August 25th, 1898, 3-year-old Alice Rachel Peck was attempting to follow her mother and wandered away from home. Her mother had been picking berries nearby, and little Alice wanted to help. Picking berries. Surprise, someone goes missing. Her mother had no idea the toddler was behind her and trying to catch up. The little girl inevitably lost sight of her mother and got lost. The massive search was launched to try and find the missing girl that would stretch out for 3 days without any trace of her ever turning up. Then, on August 28th, she was found safe and in good health about 5 miles from where she had originally vanished. When she was first found, it's reported that the little girl was, quote, in a sort of a trance, end quote, but eventually and soon after being found, she was able to remember wandering off barefoot along an abandoned road in an attempt to try and follow along with her mother to the nearby berry bushes in the woods by their house. This was a bit odd right from the start, as little Alice had been wearing shoes when she had wandered off, and a bonnet as well, which was also missing when she was found. She claimed to have survived by eating some berries. When asked how she managed to overcome the series of steep drops and boulders that stood in the way of where she had gone missing and where she had been found, she gave the cryptic response, quote, "The black man helped me," end quote, who she claimed had guided her and carried her over obstacles, notably away from where she had disappeared. Who or what was this black man, and why was he or it helping Alice, as she put it anyway? Really, it seems whatever or whoever this was actually carrying her further and further away from her home and not trying to communicate with her and try to get her back to her parents' home safely, despite, at least if it were a human, which I think is highly unlikely, having to have heard and seen all of the search and rescue efforts being made to locate the young girl. This was a huge search back for that time. 1898, 350 plus people. That was unheard of. Again, we probably won't ever know the truth or receive closure with the answers to these questions. Imagine how the people involved feel about that. It must be absolutely terrifying, to say the least, and to put it mildly. Around the very same time as little Alice Rachel Peck had gone missing, it was reported in the American Ethnology Report of 1898 that another child had gone missing under strangely similar circumstances. And this story, wow. The report talks about a 10-year-old boy who was only called Walford and how he was practicing archery by a river in some dense woods near his house. He said he was distracted, though, by the thought of doing some fishing and decided to go even further into the woods to the river where he could catch some fish for his mom to cook that night for supper. He was attempting to make a fish trap out of some nearby stones when suddenly and seemingly out of nowhere, in the blink of an eye, a man emerged from the woods and approached him. This stranger told him that he looked tired and like he could use a break. He invited young Wofford to dinner at his house, being only 10 years old, and also because this mysterious stranger seemed perfectly normal and ordinary in every other way besides he had randomly showed up out of nowhere and was inviting a young boy to his home for dinner. I doubt a 10-year-old would have even put together how strange and not right all of this was. You know what I mean? So despite all this, the boy accepted his invitation. He followed this man to a nearby house and went inside. He claimed the house was well kept and brightly lit with more food than he had ever seen before and filled with music and singing and laughter. He said any fears he may have had completely went away when a family friend he had known his whole life, so a friend of his mom and dad's, had also shown up at the house and ate and danced and drank right along with everyone else. Wofford ate a huge dinner and dessert, played with the family's children who were all around his own age, and, after having what he described as a most entertaining time, ended up falling asleep for the night. So now he's sleeping at this strange man's house. Stranger danger! I guess that didn't exist back then. So obviously he was incredibly comfortable, right? In the morning, he told the family he had to be going because his family was probably frantic with worry and wondering what had happened to him. He had just went out to practice archery and possibly fish, and he's gone for the entire day. It was at this point the strange man who had hosted him the night before took him out along a path which reportedly had an orchard on one side and a cornfield on the other. The stranger took him to a junction in the path and pointed along another trail that meandered off into the wilds, explaining that it would take him towards the river, over a ridge, and straight home. The boy followed the instructions, but when he turned around to wave goodbye to the stranger, he saw that not only was he gone, but also that the cornfield and orchard that had just been there were nowhere to be seen either. Indeed, and in fact, there was no trail at all. He found himself surrounded by nothing but thick trees and wilderness all around him and had no idea where he was. Luckily, as he made his way through the underbrush, he managed to chance upon a group of people who had been out frantically searching for him, including that family friend who he had apparently seen at the stranger's house. When Wofford asked the friend where the house was and what had happened to the trail, the friend explained that he had never been to such a house and had been out searching for him, for Wofford, the entire night before. Indeed, later on and all throughout his life, he would be told by the locals and everyone he knew that there was no house at all where he claimed it to have been. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely think this one is either a Fae encounter or some kind of dimensional switch, because some kind of glitch in the matrix type thing, because he turned around to look and it was completely gone. Why would a friendly Fae person or a friendly being of any kind lead him out into the woods to get lost, though? That's the only thing. Like, it was friendly, everything was all good, you know, he had a great night, the guy was helpful and nice and again friendly, but then the kid gets lost because everywhere he told him to go was pretty much gone. Is it something like he looked back, something like a Babylon thing? I don't know, guys. I'm searching, racking my brain. I heard this story years ago, forgot all about it, and it really affected me, like, because it reminds me of an encounter that I had with the Fae, which I will tell in my personal encounters eventually. Although I wonder if Wofford was approached at any point in his life after this by some other stranger asking him for help with something. Fairies almost never give out their hospitality like this unless they know the person is someone they'll need for something further on down the line. The superstitious locals, upon hearing the story, suggested that he had probably come across the shape-shifting Nunahi, meaning the people who live anywhere, which are supposedly a race of supernatural creatures from Cherokee mythology. It's hard to know just what to make of this story. What do you all think? Guys, please be sure and give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And even if you are subscribed, check that notification bell, please. Spread the love by sharing this video. Please do me a favor and check out the description box. There's going to be a few new things in there this week, along with everything I normally have. So justice for Caleb Smith. We're hoping to have April on sometime soon.
Okay, hold on. Remove that. No, I got rid of you guys. There we go. Oh, excuse me. It's still going. There we go. Sorry about that. My thing's all screwy. Yeah, that actually makes sense, Dragon. Oh, Edna, my ears were so bad today. It was even funny. And we have solar flares going like nuts, too. They had like 3 big solar flares in the last 3 days, and that don't help. And that'll make people's ears ring like crazy, sensitive people. So between that and this stuff, and Vixen, thank God, she sent all this goodies, which was nice. And by the way, if you're still watching Vixen, those chocolate-covered peanuts and the chocolate-covered blueberries, excellent. Even real, I take it to Boston beans. Those things are awesome too. But I had to slow down since my throat got all rough. It takes time for the throat to, well, I know that. I've had enough surgery in my esophagus to know that. You know, I suffer from Barrett's disease, so it does. Yep. Yeah, those chocolate-covered peanuts, me and Dad were hitting them pretty hard, and then the son took the rest of the bag, which was fine. But the esophagus in my throat, and they did that surgery. Actually, I was surprised when they took that cyst out. I healed up as well as I did, because usually it does take a while for your throat to heal in your esophagus. Because that's a lot of reasons why I was in and out for a while there, was because of that stuff. Yeah, it was called Keep It Super Moist. Yeah, they actually gave me a stuff to put in my mouth to help keep it damp. Yeah, those goodies, Vixen. Ooh, excellent. Thank you so much. I haven't tapped into the taffy yet. I saw Dad eating it. He probably likes it. He's probably loving that. And I haven't hit the fudge yet. I want to feel better when I hit the fudge. And the moose head. I'm always afraid to eat that because it's kind of cool looking. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, Edna, after all that surgery I had done on my throat and in my esophagus, that is one thing I do know, is to drink plenty of water. I eat Jell-O, popsicles, help keep it nice and cool and damp, and it does help. Yeah, I already knew that. But, I didn't think about using Pepto-Bismol as a kind of a coating. That actually makes sense. But yeah, I always knew that from all the work I've had on my throat done. I got 2 things going on, the the throat, the Barrett's esophagus, and those issues. Then the Tourette's and the movement disorder causes me to also have actual talking issues. So it could be a handful at times. So yeah, Been drinking. I keep, well, Pops. I will say this has been the big thing about this stuff is the junk that's coming out of me is insane. I've never had so much stuff come out of me like this has. But yeah, I'm real good about keeping my throat moist because of the Barrett's esophagus and everything else. You're doing the same thing. It sucks, doesn't it, Edna? Me and you must have the same thing. Did you give it to me, Edna? Did you pass it through the internet? Are you the culprit this time? Sending me the plague through the internet? Or was it me? Could have been me. I could have been the carrier. I mean, Pop had it really good for about a week. And then we both just seemed to be fighting head colds. So I didn't even, it's hard sometimes for me to know when I'm sick because of all my other issues. Oh, the phlegm is insane. It is insane. Man, like I said, I got to the store. Well, when I got up this morning, I got sick. Yeah, I'm blaming you guys. Go ahead, hon. It's all right. I'll blame you. But when I got to the store and got out of the car, it was like getting sick. I've never done that with phlegm. I mean, it was just pure mucus, and it was nasty. And I'm like, holy crap. I sat in my car. It hurt so bad after doing it. I just sat in my car and cried. And I'm glad I didn't go in the store. It was a madhouse. Everybody thinks it must be like the end of the day's coming or something with these weather. But yeah, I know how you feel now, Edna. And I'm feeling it today, that's for sure. Like I said, I didn't feel too bad. I took some Thermoflu probably about an hour and a half before stream last night, and I did really good. See, that's what I thought, Dragon, because I get sinus infections because of allergies all the time, and I get allergic conjunctivitis too a lot, and I thought that's what it was. It's down here somewhere. Now, see, the only thing Pop has been complaining about lately is the aches and pains. He's just been real achy, which I don't blame him because I feel that too. I mean, like, I have to go back to Vixen. If it weren't for the treats he sent, I mean, that's one thing I will say about this household. We just all sit around, eat treats, kind of just hang out. But we are living off those nuts. But I had to stop eating them because it was making my throat hurt even more. I'm starting to get dry now. I'll have to drink some. I'll have to go get some more water. That's pretty cool. Oh, hold on. See, I can tell I'm not feeling good. Well, me being muted is nothing new anyways. Mine didn't start with a headache. I was concerned. Yeah, the nuts were kind of harsh on the throat, but man, we were wolfing them down. Those chocolate-covered nuts were the best. So were those Boston beans? I'll tell you what was really good. Were those the blue ones? Those are chocolate-covered blueberries, aren't those? Because those are really good. Now, those didn't hurt my throat except for the chocolate coating. Because the worse I got, the more it was hard to eat. But those were really good. But yeah, I didn't get a headache. I just started hurting. But what concerned me was the throat. I'm like, oh man, don't start up with the Barrett's. Because every time it gets real bad, the Barrett's esophagus gets real bad. I get real slimy down there. And when I start getting slimy, that's when I have to go in there to run the thing down, my scope down, and make sure there's no polyps or anything. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And then it just all broke out. Like I said, I woke up, I went to bed feeling good, woke up about It was about 6 o'clock. And I had a headache right here, right there. So I thought it was sinuses. So I took some sinus med. That didn't help at all. Then my ears started going nuts again. Chocolate covered. Those were excellent, Vixen. And the Boston baked beans. I love those things anyway. So I've got that bag stashed in here. And the gummy lobsters. I haven't tried them yet. But the gummy lobsters, I got a giggle out of. Jaws goes, I hope they don't taste like lobster. Like, good. But thank you. It was just awesome. Thank you so much. That is keeping us smiling this week. But yeah, Dad. Now he looks like he's pretty much over it, other than the aches and pains. He just hurting. Me, it's just like everything hit me at once this morning. So I know how you feel, Edna. You want to blame me? That's fine. I'll be the carrier. I'm usually the carrier anyways. I normally don't get headaches, but I do get I used to get migraines when I was younger. Now my son gets migraines. I hated migraines. I'm kind of glad I grew out of those. Because they used to be so bad, I would literally just curl up and just rock in the dark. Tried to throw in everything that was from Maine. You sure did, sweetie. And we're loving it. So thank you so much. That company's been around since 1927 is pretty amazing. We were talking about that. Is it that old? Do they have syrup too? Because these are awesome. My dad was eating. I think there's only a couple of these left. I made sure I grabbed a couple so he wouldn't eat them all. And the cinnamon and maple powdered sugar. Oh, dude, that was a good touch. Because I love that stuff on my toast, Vixen. That stuff is excellent. So thank you on that one too. Josh goes, I never heard of that. And I caught him this morning on a bagel. Nah, you don't have to send me no maple syrup. I got plenty of maple syrup. I actually have friends that make maple syrup from here in Ohio. It's really good. I wouldn't trade that stuff for anything. And he's got friends that send him maple syrup from Canada. So that's every time I go down to see him, I always come home with a bottle of his and a bottle from Canada. It's like, I don't need all this syrup. He gets those maple cookies too. Those things, woo. When I get a migraine, I have to use a hot bottle on the neck, no lights. Yeah. See, my thing was, because of my rocking, I'd go, I'm in bed, make sure that the room is completely dark. My mom would bring in a warm, kind of a hot wash rag and set it on my head. And I'd be in fetal position and I would just rock. And nobody could touch me. It was like, if you touched me, I was going to scream. We get Canadian syrup too. Oh, I'm sure you do. Don't know why. Oh, my dad is going to send you a painting. He's been trying to decide which one he wants to send you. So I'm going to have to get your address, Vixen, because he wants to send you something for doing that for us. He was so taken by it. So he's trying to pick out a nice one to send you. So you'll probably get a painting in the mail. So when I ask for your address, you'll know why. You'll get a big old package in the mail. Got to remember, he's colorblind, but he does pretty good. He always makes fun because they have an art gallery up the street here in Worthington, because they never asked me to be in it. And some of that stuff that they show, his is better than theirs. sorry. Thought I had a hair in my mouth. But yeah, he'll probably send you a painting. I told and I told Pop that you said that you were going to come and smack me in the head and bring him crab cakes. He was like, well, I'll tell her I'll hold you down so she can smack you real good so I get more crab cakes. So you guys are great. I love it. What time we got here? I'm going to probably have to call it because I am starting to fight here. Yeah, and I told him that he was laughing too, Edna. He was like, yeah, I'll hold you down while she beats you for all those crab cakes. Hell yeah. And I was telling him about Cindy Lee and the huge spread she has to put out at Thanksgiving. He goes, well, we'll go there next year. She can just deal with more people. He can be a mood sometimes. But he's old enough. He's 91 years old. He said something to, I don't know what he said to this person in the store. And I looked at him and go, he didn't offend you. And they go, no, he's 91 years old. He can do whatever he wants. He can flip me the bird. What am I going to do? I'm not going to yell at the old man. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it. I'm sorry, folks. I got to go. I got to go take this and see if I can get, I may have to sit in a hot shower for a bit. See if I can get my body to chill out. I'm starting to get the shakes really bad again, too. The tremors are starting to kick in. I love you. Thank you all for showing up tonight. I do appreciate it so much. Remember, Gemma's got a video Monday at 11 for her new book. Yeah, thank you, Edna. I will. I'll get some rest. So 11 a.m. Monday is her video premiere. I hope to see you there. And then I will be here Wednesday at 9 for the new time for Spooky Time with me on Wednesday night at 9. I think it's just a perfect time. And you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you, Vixen, for everything you've done. Thank you, Edna, for being a sweetie. Cindy Lee, if you're still listening out there, thank you, sweetie, for the memes. Black Dragon, Latro, everybody else is hanging around the background. But Black Dragon, you're just a great guy, so I ain't going to even say any more than that. You guys have a wonderful night. Have a good Sunday. I'll see you if you're there Monday for the premiere. If not, I will see you Wednesday. Please get some rest. Edna, you get some rest too, because I'm going to go get some rest. I'm going to go take my medicine, and I may go sit in a hot shower for a little bit before I go to bed. Folks, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you for everything you guys do. And thank you for being here. Much love. Please have a wonderful night. I probably won't say my thank you in chat and comments until the mornings unless I get bored later. So have a wonderful Sunday. And I shall see you folks on the flip side. Have a good one, folks.